Hey everyone, it is so good to be here with you today at MOPsCON. I'm certainly having one of those if 16-year-old me could see me now moments. I've worked incredibly hard at many things in life, and my work in marketing ops and strategy is certainly in that top three for me. My family is, of course, first. Second is my cinnamon roll recipe. And third is the work that I've done in this space and the teams that I've worked with. And I feel really glad and lucky to be here with you all today at MOPsCON, talking about something that brings so much joy to my life, which is marketing ops, and more importantly, the incredible people that work in this space with us and all of you. So yes, you will be able to get access to that cinnamon roll recipe, so no worries there. And while we're here getting to know each other and warming up for the day, I'd love for you to use the chat feature here and share with me what's your favorite baked treat, whether it's something you bake yourself or something you want someone to bake for you. I'd love to hear some of that, maybe get some ideas. So please share that in the chat. And this session is being pre-recorded, so I'll be here with you all live the day of, and we can talk about some baked goods to get us going. So thanks in advance for sharing that, and welcome. So quick introduction. It's been a really fun route to get to my current role in this place in my career. I have spent my entire career in marketing. I started out in some really general roles, and then I began dabbling in and then kind of diving headfirst into marketing automation and marketing operations, and now marketing operations and strategy, which is something we're going to talk a lot about today. So if you would be so kind to share again in the chat, what was your first role? First role out of college, out of high school? What was that first role that started that journey to where you're at today? This path is so different today than the path I probably took, because when I started out, and this may be dating me a bit, marketing automation and operations was not a job that I could find or even knew it existed. I don't think it did exist. So this is the pace in which I've progressed through my career. And I think today you could probably shave quite a few years off of this progression. And this is just kind of a best guess from me. And I'm not sure what this slide will look like for myself and others in 15 years, but I'm really excited to find out. I think it's a really exciting time to be in marketing ops and strategy. And I think that the people doing this work today are the next wave of leaders across so many organizations, particularly in COO roles and other roles that really require that problem-solving skill set, which we'll talk about. So continuing to get us all warmed up here, I want to invite everyone to get a little bit cheesy and vulnerable here with me. If you happen to read my bio, which would maybe surprise me a little, you would have caught a line that said something to the effect of, she's a person with big feelings, true, and she also has been known to share a motivational quote or two and believe them. So despite my lactose intolerance, I am not afraid of a little cheese and cheesy jokes. I am a mom. So I love the power of a Post-it. And this is a saying I use in my life, power of a Post-it. So I thrive with accountability to myself or to other people. So if you could humor me today during this session and grab a Post-it or open up your notes app or draft an email and finish the sentence for me. By MOPsCON next year, I will. If you're feeling brave, drop it in the chat. If you're feeling a little less brave, write it on a Post-it and stick it to your computer. I actually did this exercise myself a few weeks ago as I was preparing this content for you all, and I have it with me right here, power of the Post-it. And I really hope that someone shares their Post-it or email draft with me next year. And I hope it reads, by MOPsCON next year, I will be the keynote speaker of MOPsCON. I have a feeling someone's writing that down right now. And I can't wait to see that come to fruition for someone. So thanks for being cheesy with me. And if you need some accountability, I'd be happy to be that person for you. My email address is here. Okay, so now we're all warmed up. We're excited. We're feeling really cheesy and motivated. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to talk to you a lot about building a marketing ops and strategy dream team from my perspective and experience. It's going to talk about things in what order I would build that team, the milestones I'd look for to hire each of those roles and at what pace, new roles I'm thinking about that I think make sense in our space, and really importantly, we're going to talk about how much money we think those roles should be garnering for all of you, which I know everyone's always curious about sharing. So let's just get into it and start talking about the dream team. So this is it. This is the dream team. A lot more content to come on this, but who's on the dream team? First of all, I want to be on the dream team. I want to be a marketing ops and strategy leader like I am today. I would love ultimately to see a director for marketing ops and for strategy, that partner. And then for each of those sides of the team, a well-built team to support the growth of the organization. So this is the dream team from my perspective. You may work at a company with 100,000 employees, so your dream team might be a bit bigger, but this general structure is what we'll talk about today. So you know what the dream team looks like, but in what order do we hire that dream team? It's not a tops down, it's not bottoms up, it's not left to right. It's sort of all over the place. So it's a mix, and my mix might be different than other organizations, but these are the trends I've seen. These are the hiring order that has worked for me. And don't worry, again, we'll share salary ranges for each of these before we finish up here today. So we're going to go through each of these roles one by one and mix in some other content here as well. And I just want to get into it. So first up, marketing ops manager, the most standard role any of us have ever heard of in this space. I do want to put a huge asterisk on this role immediately. I'm not advocating for any company to hire one marketing ops person and call it good to go. But we have to start somewhere. We have to start this marketing ops and strategy function somewhere. And eventually this role in my dream team should become the senior pops role. So I just want to make that note as well. So what I am advocating for very strongly is that organizations hire this role really early and earlier than they plan. I'm talking if it's a startup, first 3 marketing hires, this person should be in seat. You probably want a marketing leader first. Depending on the space you're in, you may want a product marketing leader or a demand gen growth leader. But if someone out there is doling out budget for marketing, share this with them and say, this should be a first 3 hire. And this is why, because any experienced marketing ops professional should be in charge of setting up your automation platform, connecting it with your CRM, integrating all of those things, building that initial processing and lifecycle. I haven't inherited that work too many times from non-marketing ops professionals. And it's not to say it can't be upgraded and fixed, but imagine if every company started with an experienced professional in the space, the scale in which you could scale things up so much more quickly without having to go back and kind of decipher someone else's work would be huge. That's a huge competitive advantage for these companies. And I would love to see more companies do this. So another line on this slide, not to skim over, is that do not leave this person on their own for long. So again, if you're sharing this with someone and trying to justify that marketing ops person, hire this person and then be ready to support this person with additional hires. Hiring one marketing ops person is a way of the past, and I think we all know that, but not everyone does. So feel free to screenshot this and send this to the person that needs to know. Be ready to hire on this team. Okay, so that takes us to role 2, which is a mid or junior level campaign ops person. In order to allow that marketing ops manager to lean towards that platform ops role and lean into that strategic initiative and operational work, they're going to need some help. So this role could be an internal hire as outlined here, or there are so many amazing consultants out there in marketing ops these days, and I'm sure some of you are here. That's also a great path to take here. Either way, just a dedicated resource to own this part of the function is super key. So this is a role, if you are going to hire internally, where I think you can lean on really potential and interest in work versus deep experience. If you can find the right fit with a year or less of experience, I think that's great. And just make sure that that MOPs manager has time to ramp this person up if they come in with no experience. This role should really take full ownership of the campaign ops requests, do some light platform ops work as needed around troubleshooting and data integrity, how to analyze activity, and start to lean in a little bit on process development that they can then apply to the campaign ops function. So this role is so important. They are at the forefront of service to your internal customers and your external customers. all of the processes, tech, documentation, everything else that is felt by these customers inside and out often is because of the COPS request and execution. The person in this role is also a really great earpiece for you in marketing ops. They're the ones that can get feedback directly from both internal and external customers and translate that back to the team. So encourage this role to really take ownership and build a process and build relationships across the organization. Okay, so that's role 2. Role 3, data analyst. This one is such a great one to have on the team. I particularly appreciate this one because it's an area that causes a lot of heartburn for me and so many other marketing ops people. So this person can really be the key to unlocking potential across marketing and the entire company. A dedicated data analyst, I would suggest bringing in 6 to 12 months after your demand or growth team has programs in market. I would wager a pretty solid guess that most teams wait a lot longer to bring this role in. And they're probably leaning on that marketing ops manager to do all of their data analysis or going rogue and doing it on their own. But I see a huge opportunity if you bring this role in earlier so that your reporting starts out consistent. It's customizable to the person looking at the data from templates. And leadership isn't just going rogue and kind of finding their own sources of truth. Like if you can do all of those things earlier, a central source of information ownership is going to make everyone feel a lot more secure about what we're looking at and where that data is coming from. I'd lean on early, but not entry-level experience here. You want someone who kind of can come in and start off right away knowing what they're doing. And this role is another one that can build lots of rapport with the sales and sales ops teams. And there's nothing better than going through board slide prep, knowing that sales and marketing are pulling from the same data sources. So there's not 2 versions of the truth that everyone is panicking about last minute. I've been there. Trust me, this role, it would be excellent for everyone's pieces of mind. Okay, so there was a lot of text on those slides, and we have a few more slides like that. So we're taking a quick intermission from that slide. So what we've covered are what I think to be the most common MOPS roles: a generalist who does it all, a campaign ops role, and a data analyst. So I have a few questions again for the chat. So agree these are the most common MOPS roles that you have seen as a team does build out. And if not, what would you add? Secondly, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grow up? I love these questions at this point in our lives because the answers can be totally wild or totally on par, which I think is awesome. So I'll draw this moment out for a minute while everyone is hopefully contributing to the chat. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a writer. I have an undergraduate degree in journalism. I like to think that my investigative skills that I learned there, I'm applying those every day at work. A lot of what my day-to-day is digging into things and trying to figure out what happened and why. So, and I still love to write, as I mentioned before. I'd like to start writing about my leadership experiences in the next year. It's on my Post-it. And I've also failed at NaNoWriMo quite a few times. I don't know if anyone's ever participated in and made it, but I'm going to keep going after it and hopefully finish this really awful nonfiction novel that I have started. And I would love to hear about what you guys wanted to be when you grew up, as well as about these ops roles. Okay, so we're going to get back into the content in these dream team roles. So I hope intermission served you well as it did me. Okay, role 4, leadership. This role can be tricky to time right, but I have a few ideas, of course. I would suggest bringing this role in 1 to 2 years after demand gen and growth has like a really strong set of programs in market and a really strong leadership sense as well. This totally depends on the org. I have traditionally worked in startups, so it's easier for me to time this as I suggest, but just looking for when is a company looking to go from one milestone to that next big milestone? So if you're more in a startup world, your org's looking to go from that 50 to 100 million ARR. If there's not a strong sense of leadership and marketing ops, now's a really good time because things are about to get a little crazy from a demand perspective. So once you bring this role on, I would, or if you promote someone in your team into this role, once that happens, be ready to really grow the team more broadly. For this role specifically, I would suggest 10 plus years of ops and strategy experience. That can vary depending on who you have, of course. but they should be overseeing the whole current team as well as getting ready to grow the team. They should be able to come in and quickly assess where are the gaps when we want to scale here and what do we need to bring in to really fill this team out. Okay, role 5, one of my favorites all time. Yes, you do need a strategic project manager on your marketing ops and strategy team. You will not regret it. And your team and your whole marketing organization will benefit from this role. This is not someone who's just triaging inbound requests, though they can help with that if that's something that's needed. But this role really holistically serves the entire marketing organization through that lens of operational excellence and marketing strategy. They have a really good picture of everything that's happening in marketing. You can think of them almost as like a chief of staff for marketing ops. So they get that kind of full picture. They can help step in where there are gaps. I would look for 5+ years of marketing experience here with a good understanding of project management. The background here could be a lot of things, but definitely someone that gets super jazzed about organization, templates, documentation, orderly operations, project management software experience, all really good signs pointing to yes. And it could be entirely likely that the person in this role works more closely with every other function in marketing than marketing ops and strategy. And that's okay. That's why we're talking about marketing ops and strategy here, not just marketing ops. So this person really sits on that strategy side of the team to make us all more effective. They, again, can be such a great bridge for marketing to other areas of the organization as your team scale up. They can partner with other program and project managers across the teams to know what's going on in other areas of the business and bringing that back to the team. Okay, role 6, platform ops. Can't get enough love for platform ops. So we have a solid team going here. We have 5 people. We're at role 6. This one's near and dear to my heart because I come from a platform ops background like so many of you. In my opinion, you can't have enough platform ops support. So hopefully you've already transitioned your marketing ops manager to a platform ops manager, as we discussed earlier, or maybe you promoted them to that leadership role and backfilled their role. Either way, you need at least 2 full-time people in platform ops, in my opinion. If not, you're going to burn them out for sure. So I would look for another mid to junior level hire in platform ops here. I think my perspective on platform ops is everyone in platform ops, whether that's 2 people or more, should know how to use every single tool in the stack and be able to admin that, at least from a light perspective. But then everyone in platform ops kind of divides and conquers of here are my main focus tools, here are your main focus tools. We can always cover for each other, but we all have a good idea of what's happening everywhere. I think this helps prevent burnout on the platform ops team, and it helps the team really be strategic versus reactive. Okay, so we have a few more roles to talk about here, including a senior campaign ops role. So role 7. If you're still following that dream team plan that we laid out, you may have had that junior campaign ops person in seat for a few years, possibly. So the volume and sophistication of campaign ops requests has probably increased, and the person in that campaign ops role has probably reached 100% reactive status. So it's time to either promote that person to this role and backfill or bring in a senior person in campaign ops. This person will really focus on working with internal customers to define best practices for program execution and really focus on reducing friction on how we get things done and how quickly we can execute those programs. They should be a strong partner to that platform ops side of the team so that they're always fully aligned. And they'll really focus on developing a COPS function that makes execution easy and seamless internally and build processes that can scale up and up and up as the company is growing. Okay, so next, we're going to switch gears just for a minute and talk about this word strategy that I keep using. So strategy in MOPs. We all keep talking about it, and I want to talk about how we take full ownership of this. Let's expand beyond COPS and POPs, and then talk about some other roles that I'm noodling on at present that could fit here on this side of the team. So again, in the chat, raise your hand, show some love if you've ever talked about marketing ops being a strategic role. And the chat should be lighting up right now. We've all been talking about this for years, how strategic we are, how we want respect here. So I say just, marketing ops shall henceforth be referred to as marketing ops and strategy, or MOPs with the extra S if you must. There is no shortage of conversation between all of us about how strategic marketing ops professionals are. and how much we want that respect for being strategically minded. This is a safe place. We're literally at a conference called MOPsCON, where we don't need to be humble. We can talk about how great we think we are, how awesome our work is, how important this work is to organizations. We really see the full picture. And I believe, again, that we are the future leaders of whatever we want to put our minds to. And when we're in the room during planning and creation of campaigns and programs, they tend to be more successful. When we're in rooms talking about technology, we make sure the strategy is driving the tech and not the tech driving the strategy. And I always know that we're in alignment with other teams when someone on the marketing ops team is in a room. So we're not just marketing automation experts, we are business experts. So again, we're definitely talking about it. As you can see, I called some of you out here on this slide for your great words about this. So now how do we really hold tight to that word and put it in our job titles, put it in our job descriptions, and most importantly, be comfortable being held accountable for what kind of strategy we're putting out there. We want to talk about it, so we have to be about it. So let's start talking about this with our peers, our managers, and why strategy should live in marketing ops. So let's start making that case. How do we officially take hold of the word strategy in our roles and be held accountable to it? I believe there are so many reasons that we're more than ready to take ownership of that word. Here are some of the reasons why I think it's important. We touch every aspect of marketing. We have the best view into the entire team's inputs and outputs. And I believe we are one of the most powerful partners that the sales organization has. So if you have more reason and logic, let's share it here. Let's write those things down and share this mindset together so that we can fully take ownership of this. So if you have something else to add, I would love to hear it here in the chat. Let's get back to the dream team because we're going to talk about strategy some more. At this point, we still have roles 8 through 11 to round us out. These roles in strategy are ones I've either recently developed or I'm currently exploring to try to see how do they fit, where would they cause role conflict, where would they add value. So my process for developing new roles is nothing groundbreaking. I open up a Google Doc, I pin it to my tabs, and it's always there available whenever I feel like I'm coming up short for resources for something, especially if I see a pattern developing. I also document anytime I'm asking others on my team to stretch into an area that doesn't quite fit their role, or an area where we're just lacking expertise across, but people are asking us for something. What are those things people are asking us for where it just doesn't seem like we have the right resource right now? From there, I'll start outlining responsibilities and requirements, nothing groundbreaking about that, but I can refine this for months. And eventually, when I feel like there's something there, I'll start talking to people that have maybe taken on roles like that in one way or another, maybe not cohesively, and start getting some of their feedback of, here's a role I'm thinking about, would this be something you would do, and what's missing, or what would you add? And so far, this process has worked really well for me. So here's one of those roles that I have developed. So about 6 months ago, I started developing this role and have just recently hired this role. So role 8 is a marketing data strategist. This is different than the data analyst on my team. They do overlap in some areas presently because we're still setting up our foundation for reporting, analytics, and attribution. But long-term, this role takes a more strategic lens to that data. So this role, I would suggest to be on the really deep experience side for CRM, marketing automation, and attribution, as well as a data visualization tool if you're utilizing one at your organization. They should really be driving insights from the data and being able to help tell that story to others while also developing a plan on how will we improve these things. They should be a really good partner and resource to people across the team who need someone to sort of step in and help them guide their analysis for next steps for improvement. Another way to think about this is this person is sort of the czar of quality over quantity, someone to step in and have us help hit that pause button before we execute something. They're always hopefully asking ourselves, how can we do this better? And then they can guide those next steps for how we do that better as well. So this is a role I'm really excited to have on the team these days. Another new role, which isn't new, but it's going to be new to our team, is a director of marketing ops. So if you were following that dream team build, we would have 4 people on the marketing ops side of the team. We'd have 3 on the strategy side of the team. The COPS function is probably becoming very strategic. The POPS function is managing and adding to a really robust tech stack as well as operational processing. And the leader of that team needs to really focus on the larger strategic initiatives as the organization is growing. So I want to make sure that that side of the team has a really focused player coach role to help them out. So here, I would probably look to promote your most senior platform ops role if they're the right fit. If not, you could certainly bring in a net new hire here to be that player coach. It really just depends on the folks on your team. So role 10, this is another role that is in development. I don't really quite have it figured out yet, but I'm working on this one. So marketing enablement specialist, maybe you would call it just marketing strategist. Again, I haven't quite figured it out, but who among us does not depend on sales enablement? I certainly do. They're the ones that we partner with to translate our tech and our processes to the sales organization. Thank goodness they exist. They ensure that our business development reps or our sales teams know how to do every click and process to make sure things work the way they should work after all that work we've put in. So although I'm sure there is someone out there in the role of marketing enablement specialist, it's not someone I've ever worked with. So imagine someone that would translate sales processes back to the marketing team. That would make lifecycle management way easier. Or imagine someone who educates the entire marketing team on UTM parameters. They would create the content, the documentation, training, a certification program, and you would never have a link go out again without UTM parameters. That sounds like a dream to me and something I would like to have. They could also enable the entire demand gen team on marketing attribution so that your data and platform folks aren't stepping out of their day-to-day work to build that deck and training and certification. So someone who's just really excellent at that kind of work could be such a multiplier for the entire organization. So this one, still a lot to figure out, but I have my Google Doc pinned and I'm working on it. Okay, lucky number 11 is the director of marketing strategy. So again, at this point, we have 4 people on the strategy side of the team, and similar to platform ops and campaign ops, I'm going to look for that leader who can really hone in and play or coach with that side of the team. This one, I haven't even opened the Google Doc yet. I haven't started sketching it out, but I feel like long-term, this role will be really valuable to our organization. Okay, so we're going to get back into a summary mode here. So here's a recap of our dream team from 1 to 11. This isn't the perfect build for everyone. Maybe it's not the perfect order for everyone, but I do think it can be a North Star and a guide for everyone to start somewhere. And I also think it really hones in on how we take ownership of that strategy word and why that fits so nicely with campaign ops. And of course, let's talk dollars, because I know everyone cares about that. I certainly do. These are the ranges that I have found over the last year plus to be very competitive, but fair to the work, in my opinion. So if you have thoughts on this, I'd love to hear it from you, whether it's in the chat here or follow up to me via email and let me know, do these feel right to you, what you've seen in the market, or do these feel a little off? I would love that information as well. So let's switch gears. So we made it through sort of the really nerdy learning part of the presentation. And now we've arrived at the fun part, which is exciting. So earlier this summer, I put out a call for feedback to lots of you while I was building out the content for this chat. I wanted to make sure it was useful. And we covered some of that useful stuff, I hope. But I also asked you all a few fun questions, and I wanted to share some of that back with all of you and hear some additional answers in the chat as well. So as we work through these next few slides, please participate. I'd love to see more thoughts from all of you. So my first question to everyone was, what is the biggest misconception about marketing ops and strategy? And really saw some fun and interesting answers here. This one always comes up, that we just send emails. I just don't know how people are still thinking about this, thinking about our work this way, but it's still out there. We're super technical in IT. People definitely have this misconception. I definitely have to correct them. I'm definitely not a super technical person. There are people out there. Sanford, if you're out there, I hope that you hear this. You are super technical and we all look to you, but most of us are not. And I think that is a misconception a lot of the times. Marketing ops and strategy success is measured by number of MQLs. Although I do deeply care about MQLs and SAOs, I'm refreshing that dashboard twice a day. I don't think our work is really measured by the success of that output. that you can easily solve problems by buying new tools and technology. A lot of people do have that misconception, and we are breaking that misconception by not letting tools drive the strategy, letting strategy drive the tools. We will keep saying that until people get it. That everything can be done instantly. This one hurts, it cuts deep, because I don't think this misconception is ever going to go away. But I know all of you watching this feel this pain, and the more we continue to educate people on what really goes into this work, the better off we'll all be. Oh, this one. We're not going to have this misconception next year if someone asks this question again. We are taking ownership of the word strategy, and we are strategic, and people will no longer have that misconception. So the good news is this one's going away. I truly believe that. So if you have a few other answers in the chat, please share them. Okay, so the next question, what's something that's gotten easier during your marketing ops and strategy career? Again, love to hear some more answers on this one. These two are very similar to me. I do think leadership now sees the value of marketing ops, and I think that peers also have a better understanding than they used to, but we still have a ways to go on educating people here. Software, I do think it's gotten so much easier. Integrations are better, APIs are better, and I think there's a lot more user-friendly stuff out there where we don't need to be super technical. There's so many new amazing resources. We're literally at a conference called MOPsCON. Like, I don't know if there's any other oldies out there like me who have been in this space for a long time. Like, this is wild. There's a conference specifically for marketing ops people. There's more than one of them. That's amazing. And I feel really lucky. Something else that's gotten easier for a lot of people, finding a job. Yes, marketing ops continues to be a really competitive space for organizations to find and hire. I know the market's been a little wild this year, up and down, but I still see tons of organizations looking for these roles. So I still think finding a job has gotten a lot easier here. I love this one, saying, I don't know. That's gotten so much easier for me over the years, now more than ever. I don't know. Let me ask X person on my team, the experts. So if you don't feel comfortable saying, I don't know, I hope that you do. There's so many resources where you can say, I don't know, let me check with Mops Pros. I do it every day. Okay, next one. What is something that has gotten more difficult during your career? Tech. I know we just talked about how much better tech has got, but there is so much more of it. And that becomes difficult to really weed through for people. And then this is this one on the right, I thought was pretty fun. Other people have gained so much more knowledge of the tools and systems, so they think they're an expert about marketing ops, which oftentimes is not actually the case, but it can be difficult to sort of explain that to folks and work with them. So yeah, career growth. I put this one on here specifically. This was a single person answer, but whoever submitted this, because that form was anonymous, reach out to me. This person is specifically having trouble getting out of just being more of an email admin. Whoever you are, shoot me an email. I want to talk to you because I have a feeling you're going to have a much easier time finding a job once we connect you with a few people if you're looking to make a move. Unifying and consolidating data, it's getting so much more difficult because there's so much more data. So I feel this pain all the time, like many of you. And my favorite answer, everything's gotten more difficult. Everything's gotten easier and more difficult at the same time. So super, super relatable. And our last question. So again, please share in the chat here. This is my favorite question to ask. If there was one theme across nearly every response I got here before this presentation, was one thing: solving problems. We are all really excited about solving problems. I feel like we're quite literally running towards them in our roles. And that is what all of this boils down to for me. All of us here watching this presentation and our teams at some point found joy when someone gave us a really difficult problem to solve. There's something I think innate in all of us that really wants to rise to the challenge when presented with a problem. And we want to solve it no matter how little information we have to go on. We all, I think, believe that we can figure out every problem with enough time or process or brainstorming, testing, looking at activity logs, looking at the data. We are all problem solvers to the core. And I truly believe that we have just begun to solve really complex problems for really complex businesses. And I am so happy to have found my way here to this solving problems moment with all of you. And I really hope that you're happy to be here too and excited about where we're going. So ultimately, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for solving problems with me and everyone else. I would love to hear from you. At the very least, send me your favorite recipe for a delicious baked treat. I'm always looking for something new to try. Here's a few of mine from this year. So thank you for being here. Thank you for solving problems. Have an amazing time at MOPsCON. I look forward to connecting with all of you. And again, thank you for being here.